Joining me now is Nikolaos Cacos. He is the president and CEO at Blue Sky Uranium. Great to see you again, Nick.
Great to be back, Mark. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us. So big news here. Since we last spoke, Blue Sky Uranium has really transformed itself. Can you give us some more detail and color and flavor on this arrangement that the company has with COAM to develop the Ivana project in Argentina?
Absolutely. In the last little while here, the last few months, we have signed and penned an agreement with COAM, which is shorthand for Corporación Americas. Basically, it transforms the company. It pushes us from being a pure play exploration company and now going into more of having a path for development mode and going into eventual production. COAM, Corporación Americas, or COAM I'll use for short, is one of the most important business groups in Argentina. They are a very diversified group. They've got business interests in oil and gas, semiconductor business, and they own many airports. They're really quite well known. It's a family-owned business, and their financial prowess plus their political connections, I think, allow us now to put our Ivana deposit, which has just over 17 million pounds of uranium and 8 million pounds of vanadium. It allows us now they will spend $35 million to advance this to feasibility study. And then from that point, based on the results of the feasibility study, they'll take it into production, and their commitment is to inject an additional $160 million to complete the construction and to have the project go into commercial production. So in essence, it's a $200 million deal for Blue Sky. And from our vantage point, what's attractive about it, not only that now we have financially de-risked the project and we have an expert group moving it forward into production, but also we're get a free carry out of it. So Blue Sky doesn't have to put any additional funds until the project goes into production. So it's a very good deal for Blue Sky and for our shareholders by extension.
Now, Nick, as far as that initial 35 million, COAM recently said they're going to double the drilling this year that they were planning. So 6 million US versus the initial 3, and that will be used for infill drilling and also testing a couple of key targets. Can you tell us more about the drilling program for 25?
Yeah, of course. That's right. We did announce just a short while ago that the amount of money going into the first phase of the program is going to be double. There's two aspects to this drill. Number one, we've got definition drilling within the deposit, which is required for the feasibility study. So that entails a certain amount of drilling, and then outside of the deposit we've got identified 5 targets which are within about a 25 or 30 kilometer radius, and these targets are still held and owned by Blue Sky Uranium, but the joint venture has an option to buy these if they make another discovery. So they're going to be stepping out and drilling some of these very compelling targets. And if a discovery is made there, then the joint venture would purchase them for Blue Sky, representing, of course, another potential revenue source for Blue Sky. And by doubling the amount of expenditures going forward, it's very much aligned with, well, look, in Argentina right now, we're seeing a very, very pro-business environment, not in general, but also specifically for mining, and there's an impetus to see if we can advance all the work that we're doing and getting into a construction phase as quickly as possible while we still have this very pro-business government still in power. So it's a very positive event, and we're very pleased to see that things are moving forward in an accelerated fashion.
We will circle back to some of your comments there about the business-friendly environment in Argentina and also the management team's expertise and experience in that jurisdiction as well. Now, the Ivana deposit is at surface, and you've said that this is a really unique project. Can you remind us why it's unique?
Well, being surficial is unique. Because it is actually quite unique because it makes it relatively simple to identify and cheap to extract. So the production costs for this type of deposit is actually potentially very, very low. A PEA that we have published about a year ago indicated that even with all sustaining costs, a single pound of uranium would take about less than $25 a pound to produce. So that's very low cost. And in fact, the geology and the mineralization that we're seeing at Ivana, it was very similar to some of these other deposits that we're seeing in Kazakhstan. Now, in Kazakhstan, we've got nearly half of the world's uranium being supplied from that country with very similar type of geology. And what's unique about here with Blue Sky is that we've got the Ivana deposit. This represents a single deposit in an entire district. The district that we control here is over 145 kilometers in length, 50 kilometers wide. The joint venture is only around the deposit, but then we've got this entire district here that's wide open for exploration. And if we look at the types of deposits here in occurrences in Kazakhstan, these are amenable to having multiple discoveries along the way. So there's potential here to make, we've got one Ivana discovery, but there is a potential to have multiple Ivanas through this entire project. So there's a lot of Blue Sky embedded in just this project alone.
Now, you've said that Blue Sky could be a producer in the short term. That's the goal. So what is a realistic timeline to get to the feasibility study and a construction decision? Well,
we're looking right now at seeing how we can get to the end of the feasibility study as quickly as possible. One way to do that is to skip the step of having to do a pre-feasibility study. That's currently on discussion. So ideally, in the next year to year and a half, it's possible to be at a feasibility study stage, and at that point make a decision to go forward into construction for going into production. The neat thing about this is that from a regulatory point of view in Argentina, Argentina is a nuclear country, so the prescription for how to put a uranium deposit into production is already been defined and prescribed. It's no different than if you're putting a copper deposit into production, as long as you follow the necessary prerequisite steps. So we could be in a in a position where we've announced a feasibility study in the next, I don't know, 12 to 18 months. And then if we proceed forward to production, it could take another year or 2 years, another couple of years to put that into production. So it could happen very, very quickly. Potentially, we could be in a very fast position for being in production.
All right. So you have government support in Argentina, regulatory support to a degree. At least it seems sort of a light touch, so to speak, in that jurisdiction. And you combine that with your experience on the ground in Argentina and the Grosso Group itself as well. So put that all together and maybe give us a sense of what kind of advantages Blue Sky has compared to peers.
Well, we've got track record, number one, and a track record that goes back more than 30 years, 3 decades of experience of operating in Argentina. The Grosso Group, headed by Joe Grosso, is well known in Argentina. Brings a wealth and extensive network of contacts throughout, not just in the government, but in the entire mining industry. So that really does set us apart from many of the peers. And now we bring on board an organization like COAM, which has extensive contacts as well, being such a prominent business group. I think, our connection and our ability to navigate regulatory hurdles or whatever we might find going forward is quite unparalleled here. I think we're set up very well to advance this project and to take it to our objective, which is to have it in production as quickly as possible.
And lastly, Nick, I'm wondering about what you or how you perceive the market's impression of the Blue Sky Uranium story. When you announced the COAM deal, I believe the stock doubled from 5 cents to 10. Now it's back at 5, about a $17 million market cap. The markets, are they getting it yet, or do you need to educate some more?
Well, there's definitely a lot of education work that needs to happen. You're right. The stock did react to the story because it is a very unique and it's a good story. And then we hit the market turmoil that not just Blue Sky but everybody else hit with the uncertainty with tariffs and all these things that were happening around the world. So as the whole market took a step back, Blue Sky took a step back with that. And now as the price of uranium is starting to move up again, we're seeing the larger cap companies like the Cacos and whatnot performing quite nicely, and the other mid-tier producers. And I believe as that continues, near-term producers like Blue Sky will be lockstep and begin to move up along there. And in the meantime, it is a relatively new story. There are many institutional investors that are not aware of the stage that we're at here with Blue Sky. So we do have a lot of work to do, and we're doing that. We're out there. We're trying to get our story out to as many new investors as possible, and alleviate and get a better valuation here than what we currently have.
Well, we definitely come across a lot of uranium stories here and at Red Cloud, and we do a lot of research, and yours does stand out. So we'll definitely be following. Thanks for your time today, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks, Nick.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Nikolaos Cacos, he is the president and CEO at Blue Sky Uranium. Thanks very much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.